Hello crafters, today I'm back and today I have 25 craft fair tips. So before I even get started, could you please like, comment and subscribe to this channel? It would mean the world to me. And yeah. I'm just going to get started, and by the way, if you want me to do a vlog or a video on how I'm preparing for my Christmas market this year, please tell me down below and I'd love to do that for you. Anyway, I'm just going to get started with the tips. So my first tip is to visit the fair months before the show, and this kind of helps you suss out the competitions, and you can also talk to vendors on how many people they get in a day and if it's a good, and also what kind of products they are they vintage, indie, whatever else. Second tip is to make and plan months before the products, before the craft fair, because obviously if you're buying in bulk, you're going to have to probably wait like a month or two for your whatever you're buying, and also it takes a lot of time to make stuff, especially if you have halfway a busy life, and you kind of have to find time to do it, which is hard. Third tip is to add extras to make the products more expensive. Like if you're making, I don't know, like a piñata or something, that's a bit random, but you can obviously add the stick and you can have the fillings, and that kind of adds perceived value to it, so you can make more profit from that product at the end of the day. Fourth tip is to bring food, water and a seat and comfy clothes and shoes, because it really is going to save your life on the day. You're just going to be tired, you're going to be tired and hungry and thirsty, and you really will thank me at the end of the day, trust me. So the fifth tip is to bring something small to do during the lulls in selling. This can obviously help spark some interest in your stall, and it also gives you obviously something to do, and it's kind of productive. But obviously you're not going to bring this really complicated crochet pattern, but you can bring some like quick blanket to make, which, you know, that's easy enough to do. The sixth tip is to practice setup before in your house, in your, like, on your kitchen table. I don't know, I don't care, but it really helps you figure out the best display for all of your products and what's best to do with them and everything like that. So that's that tip. Seventh tip is to bring a tablecloth that touches the ground. So obviously underneath the table you can have boxes with spare products and stuff that you might need packaging, which they're the kind of stuff that aren't too nice, but you really do need them, so that's a good idea. Number 8 is to bring a friend. They can obviously help you sell if you have two customers at the same time, and also if you need to have a break, go to the toilet, whatever, they can just kind of take over for a few minutes, which is always good. The next tip, the 9th tip, is to bring business cards, but hand them out to everybody. Even if they're going to be buying, or if they're not going to be buying, they might buy it from you in the future online, or if you do that, and it also helps spark interest in your business. And the 10th tip is to practice small, to start small, to troubleshoot. So don't start with this big like week-long Christmas market and you lose a lot of money. Start small with like a farmer's market in your town or whatever, and you can kind of troubleshoot, see what goes well, see what doesn't. Obviously it's not going to be the same products that will sell well at a farmer's market and this big like professional craft show, but you know what I mean. So those are the first bunch of tips. So the next tips are all about the display, which is obviously a very important part of the craft fair. So my first tip for this is to make the best of everything you have. So obviously if you have electricity, you can kind of put like fairy lights around your table and light up your products. Obviously lights can create lots of drama, which can be, you know, good, like shop windows for your craft stall. The second tip is not to have too much decor, because this can kind of take away from your products, and you really do want your products to stand out and to be the stars of the show because you want to sell them. But obviously a bit of decor really can help do that, but obviously don't have too much. Third tip is to mention and display the time used and the materials used. You can obviously have that on your little tags, your business card maybe. You can also have them on little like chalkboards or whatever on your table. So that kind of interests people and they look and say, oh my god, he used that on that. So that can obviously help spark interest in your product, and you can get talking with people, and yeah. The fourth tip is to put plastic around cards and delicate items. You kind of have to do a bit of balance with this, but especially around cards, if like you don't want children holding them with like ice cream on their hands and they ruin the card. And obviously if you're making little jewellery, maybe have them behind glass boxes or in little plastic pouches, or also something else is like crocheted and felted items. If they're really delicate, it's probably something children will touch and they might dirty it, and then it's really hard to sell, honestly. So yeah, just it's always a good idea to have some kind of protection around the items. The 15th item is to kind of have grab bags with old products, which can help sell them because it's kind of a surprise. People like the surprise and everything, and it's kind of, yeah, it's a great way to sell old stuff off that might not sell in any other way, even if you discounted them heavily. The next idea is to use less types of each product, but have more products of each. Do you get what I mean? Like, instead of having 50 different types of crochet animals, maybe have 5 but 10 of each. Do things in product ranges. It'll make it so much faster for you, but also the people buying will not have too much choice. So it's going to be easier for them to make a decision on what to buy. And you might think having the biggest amount of stuff of ever will obviously be better for business, but actually studies have shown it isn't. So yeah, that's just always something to keep in mind. The 7th tip is to use the top of your gazebo or cover, like the little tent, if you have one. If you're doing like a farmer's market outdoor, you can use that for hanging. If you're dream catchers, obviously that would look really nice. Or even like bags or little paper bags, if you're branding on it, it might look cute. Anyway, so that's an idea. My 8th tip is to use 3 for 2 deals instead of discounting your products. Obviously this will probably be better for you, but also it's for the customer. It incites them to buy more from you, and yeah, so that's just a little something. That's a good tip there. So the next few tips are about engaging with people and getting them to buy stuff and have interest in your products. So so the first tip is to, when you have people at your stall, get them to try the products on. Obviously if they're hats, they're going to have a mirror for that, obviously. But even if it's like cards, if they touch it and look through them, it really does kind of help them know that they really want this. And also animals and stuff, like, I don't know, crocheted animals or something, it really helps them to kind of bond with the item, and it's kind of really hard for them to not bring it home. So that's that. And also the second tip is to give out the business cards to everybody. I think I already mentioned that about it. Anyway, to give business cards out to everybody, and also include them in your packaging or in your bag, like when you're giving them out to customers, because your packaging, your branding might not be really apparent on your product, and they might want to contact you, and the business cards might be the only way to do it. So yeah, and also have a little a little tray with them, and people can just take them, put them into their bag, and yeah, they'll kind of remember your business for a long time, more than if they hadn't taken them. The third tip is to network with the people around you, both the people buying and the people selling around you. They might be doing stuff with you. You could join them. You could they might tell you different things, and you could tell them different things as well. You could learn from each other, and it's always nice to know like-minded people. And also, when you're talking to customers, make sure to include the time you spent on each item and the materials, what makes it unique and everything like that. Again, this really helps people kind of identify with the product, and they really want to buy much more than if you hadn't done that. So that's always helpful. And yeah, the next tip is to always be very friendly to everybody. It's retail after all, and they're not going to buy from someone with a very sad face sitting even worse, out in a little enclosed craft booth. So say hello plus smile, and you don't have to be like, would you like to buy this product, like immediately off the bat, but maybe say like, your bag is nice, how are you today, what's the weather on outside, if you've been cooped up all day. And this is kind of a bonus tip for myself that I found, and it's always stand up. I think it's definitely a lot more painful, but if your display is halfway high, you're probably going to be hidden when you sit down, so it's always better to stand up so people can see there's someone behind there, or even better, and I saw people doing this at the last craft fair I went to. They had these high stools, so it looked like they were standing up but they're actually sitting down. I swear I have to invest in one of those, but it was actually very genius. So have high stools or just stand up if you can't afford them, like me. So another tip is to say you made the items you have, if you're not like, if you're at like a vintage fair or something, because sometimes people actually don't know. And even then, even sometimes when you're at a craft fair, you just have to tell people that you made it. I know it sounds a bit weird, but honestly sometimes it has happened to me, because they might not know, they might think you just buy it in from China and like bulk. And yeah, but obviously knowing that you made it yourself obviously really changes the deal for them sometimes. And yeah, I think that's my I think that's all my craft fair tips for today. Also, I'm just going to run through a typical list that I might have of things I might want to bring. Here's my horrible writing, sorry. But so you're obviously going to want your products, which is obviously the most important. The display, your display, are you displaying them in boxes? All your pricing things, obviously your tablecloth table, okay, that's there. And lights, whatever you're going to be using. I don't know, mirror if you're doing some kind of hats or something. Also, you're going to want a chair and a table, like pretty obvious. Sometimes they might give you the table, but more than often they don't, especially if it's a bit more professional. And another idea is to make the most of your square, like your area that you've rented out. So if you have like a square, you can always do a U shape and maybe have something in the middle so people can move around, obviously depending on how big it's going to be. I hope you can visualize that, but that helps you get the most products you can. Blue tack and masking tape, I always bring those two things, and when I don't, I really do need them. And even when I do, I really do need them, so I really recommend having those two things. You never know when you need them. Business cards, obviously I told you about that. Price display, water and fruit, a gazebo of sometimes they will give you the gazebo, or sometimes you'll be inside, so obviously you won't need it. So yeah, you go into a price book and a pen. If you're doing like painting or stuff, you might have a little price book with stuff, or you might give that to the customers. And even something to write down everything you have sold that day, or else you might do it at home, I don't know. Inventory of products, so at the end of the day you can kind of see what sold best, make sure nothing was stolen, which never happened to me, but touching wood there. And the last thing is a change and wallet, and make sure you have plenty of spare change, like 1s, 50 cents, 2s, 5s, 10s and 20s. Obviously if you're doing like 25, 125 and something, you need 25s and stuff. And yeah, so anyway, that's my last tip for today. If you like this video and you lasted this far, which I think is like a miracle, please like, comment and subscribe, and tell me below if you want me to do that craft fair experience video. And anyway, I hope you have a great craft fair, and I hope it goes well for you, and tell me down below again how it goes and what you're selling, and we might all learn from you. So anyway, thanks so much, I'll see you next time, bye.